Mobile automation is about, well, having a mobile. So our next step after installing and configuring the environment necessary for Robot Framework and Appium, we have to go ahead and choose the platform and the device we are going to automate our application on. In this part of the tutorial, I will be using the Android devices, and I will show you how to use and configure a real device for your automation project, as well as an Android emulator created with Android Studio. You could keep in mind that there is no actual difference for most automation projects between physical mobile device and an actual emulator, but I will show you how to correctly install, configure, and check whether your mobile device is successfully connected and ready to begin automation. Let me first demonstrate how to check your physical device. I have a mobile phone with Android. I will connect it to my PC. And in order to check if the phone was correctly connected and I have all the drivers installed, I can open up a terminal. And here, I will try to run a command, but I will get an error, and I will explain to you why in just a second. Normally, once you've plugged your Android device to your PC, you need to activate the developer options menu, and I will show you in just a second how to activate that. Normally, if I would run this command, so adb devices, I should get a list of devices associated to my PC, but instead I get the error that adb is not recognized as an internal or external command. And that is because the last time when I installed the environment, I made a slight error when I declared my environment variables for Android Studio. And that was here. Instead of Android Home \build tools, I should have platform tools, because the 𝗵𝗶𝗆𝗃 used by the Windows operating system is actually located in this folder. The other folder doesn't actually exist. So I corrected this problem, and now I will open up the terminal once again, and I will run adb devices. When you first connect your phone to your PC and you run the adb devices command, you should see a pop-up on your device asking you if you want to connect to this PC and if you trust this device. You should go ahead and click OK. If that's the case, you will see here, instead of device, you will see the text unknown, just until you click and you validate that pop-up. But I will show you a tool I'm using to mirror my Android device screen. Now, this is not a commercial, it is just a tool I am using so that I can have the screen of my device on my computer. The tool is called 𝗁𝗲, and you could find it very easily on Google with a simple Google search. You can visit their homepage, check out the applications that are made for Windows, Mac, Linux, and browser, and all the different pricing. I'm not going to get into detail about that. What is good about 𝗁𝗲 is that it is stable, and it also has a free application you could use. The only downside is that if you mirror your phone screen once every 30 minutes, you would get a pop-up or a commercial that can potentially ruin your automated test. But for the purposes of this video, I'm going to launch 𝗁𝗲. This will install a 𝗁𝗲 application on my mobile phone, and right now I am able to mirror the actual screen of my phone directly onto my computer. So any change I make using my mouse on the interface, on the visor interface, will be mirrored on the interface of the actual device. Now, the reason why I did this was, first of all, to show you how you can mirror your screen, your Android screen on your device, because this can be very helpful. For example, when you automate, it's easier to use the keyboard and the mouse to browse through the actual device menu and settings instead of using your fingers on the touchscreen. And the second reason is that I wanted to show you how you actually activate the developer option when you want to connect your mobile device to your PC or your ADB server. If you are using a mobile device that has never been connected to a PC for automation, all you have to do is go to Settings, scroll down, About Phone, you scroll down, Software Information, and you click on the build number 7 times. After you've clicked 7 times, you should see this pop-up right here, Developer Mode has been turned on. You go back once again, and you should see this developer options menu appearing. It is something that you did not see before because it was hidden. And all you have to do is click on the developer options and scroll down to USB debugging and activate that. If that is activated and you click also on the allow pop-up, which appears when you run the ADB devices command, you should see a result like this. This is the actual ID or serial of this device, and this is something we are going to use when we are going to start automating on the Android device. Okay, so now that we saw how to operate the real device, we are going to create an Android emulator using Android Studio. If you remember from the last video, we installed and configured all the necessary environment for automation, including Android Studio. If you did not see that video or you don't have the environment correctly installed, you can click on the top right corner of this video and I will link the video there. In order to create an Android emulator, we will start Android Studio. Last time we checked the SDK tools to be up and updated, and we also installed USB driver for real device and Play services for the cases where we wanted to install emulator with Google Play on them. So let's go ahead now and try to create an Android emulator. We will simply click on this button here, which is AVD Manager. I will select Create Virtual Device, and here I have a list of devices that can be installed and configured. And as you can see, there are some models which support Play Store. The difference between devices that appear with this symbol of Play Store and the others is that once you created your emulator, you should have an operating system on it that is official or not official. This means you would have the operating system that is normally installed on the real devices, or an operating system that supports modifications for development purposes. Now, if you install an emulator with the operating system supporting Google Play Store, that would be an official operating system, and you won't be able to make modifications because it will be considered as non-writable from the system partition point of view. So for the purposes of this application, as I don't have anything to modify in my operating system just to install the application I want to automate, I will choose a model with Google Play Store. Let me see here. I think I'm going to choose the Pixel 3a, as it has a wide enough screen. So I will choose the model. I will choose next. And now I will choose the operating system to install and configure for my phone. Of course, there are other options, but we will go with the recommended options here. And what I want to do is, let's say I want to install Google Pixel 3a with Android 10. I will click on the download button, and now Android Studio should download the image of the operating system in order to install it directly on my emulator. We will wait for that to download, and then we will move on. Okay, the download and installation is finished. I will click on the finish button, and I will choose the newly downloaded image. I will choose next. I will choose a name for my virtual device. I will actually call this Pixel _ 3a, and then I will call it Android _ 10, so I can know the model of my emulator and also the operating system. Then it's a matter of reviewing the details. So I have a 5.6-inch screen with this resolution, system image of Android 10. I want the startup orientation to be portrait, not landscape, graphics automatic, and here on the advanced settings, if you have a powerful enough PC and a good amount of RAM, you can modify the number of cores you want to give to your emulator, the amount of RAM memory, and can change also all kind of details here. Okay, I will click finish. And once I hit this play button, my emulator should start. And you will see that the emulator models that you can create with Android Studio actually replicate the real devices you may find on the market in terms of graphics and real look. You even have this beautiful frame, and you can see that everything is working fine. There are some updates as for every emulator you or a phone you may purchase. We'll let this finish, and just to show you, for example, if I choose a model that doesn't have Google Play and I choose to download the Android 10 image, you can see that it's not the same image I downloaded before. It's another image, and that is a non-production system image. I will download this as well because I want to show you how you can modify the settings of an Android emulator. So this one has finished booting. There are some initial configurations that I can do. So this is the actual name of the device, Android SDK built for x86. Copy data. Let's run through the setup quickly, and then we can actually start investigating the interface and see how this emulator is put together. I don't want to copy anything from any other device. I don't want to sign in with my Google account just yet. I don't want to have a phone lock. No. Okay, I will also configure the storage, move content, and done. And right about now I should have an Android emulator that is up and running. It is connected to the same network as my physical device, so all the internet for the emulator will be provided through this connection. And now if I go back to my command prompt and I execute the same command again, I can see that I have the initial device that was connected with 𝗵𝗲. I have the same device, but this time connected through the IP, because 𝗵𝗲 also offers you the possibility to switch to an IP connection after you have plugged your phone in and you have connected with the cable. And then I have the emulator as my second device with this name. As a rule, it doesn't matter how many emulators you start up, the first one that is going to start will also have this name. Okay? The other image has finished downloading. I can now go ahead and finish the configuration of my Pixel 3a XL, and I will also put here underscore Android 10 advanced settings. And now look what happens. I can modify how many cores I want to assign to my emulator. I can modify the amount of RAM, so I will put here 2 gigs. For the virtual machine heap, I will give it 512. If I want a greater SD card, I can modify this as well. And now when I click finish, here is my second emulator created. This is how you use emulators and real devices on the same machine in order to automate your application on both of them. The beauty of this automation method is that you can use, for one automated test, you can use 2 devices. One device can be an emulator and one device can be a real device connected to your PC the same way I just showed you. When we will get down to automating an application, I will actually use both of them to run my application and interact with each other. So if that sounds interesting to you, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you again in the next video.